Hello and welcome to another episode. In today's episode, I am going to be talking about the display inline block value. But before we get started, if you're new to my channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. As well, if you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And if you find this video useful, share it with someone else. If you want to support my channel, I am going to leave my PayPal link in the description below. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so to get started with the CSS display inline block property, go to w3schools.com, go to the CSS section and scroll all the way down to where it says CSS inline block. Then I need you to open the same website we've been using so far. This time, to save a little bit of time and not make the video super long, I already cleared out the style from the website and I also cleared out the body section. But we are still using the same template that we have been using so far. So let's get started here with the display inline block. We're going to make a couple of comparisons. We're going to compare the inline block with the inline value, and we're also going to compare this with the block value. Now, the major difference between display inline is that the inline block allows to set a width and height to an element. Now the display block, the major difference is that inline block does not add any line breaks after the element, so all elements can sit next to other elements. And with the display inline block, the top and bottom margins paddings are respected, but as you know, with the display inline, they are not. Just so you can have a better understanding in what is the main difference and why this is so important, I'm dedicating a chapter for this. I am going to show you a couple of examples. So we're going to hit here where it says try it yourself. Okay, and the first thing we're going to do is add couple of paragraphs. Now here they've added the display property. They added 1, 2, 3 H2s and then some paragraphs. So what I'm going to do to make things simple is that I am going to apply a division for each paragraph, and then we're going to add a span into each division. So it's going to look something like this. Let me show you. So here is the division, and here this one is going to have, let's make the division with, well, let's just make it with no classes at all. Let's just do it as the example. So we're going to add here some content. Okay, let's do some content. And I'm going to copy this and we're going to paste this information. Well, actually, you know what? Let's add a little bit more of, let's add just a little bit more of paragraph here, more letters, more wording to this div, okay? Okay, so there we go. There we go. So let's just add another thing here, more content. There it is, and then some more content. Okay, so that looks a little bit better. Okay, now I'm going to copy all this information, okay, and I am going to paste this 3 times. Let's hit save. Going back to our code, I'm going to hit refresh. And as you can see, we have the 3 divisions right now. Okay, now inside of each division, we're going to add a span, and we're going to add the class of example number 1, 2, and 3. For each paragraph, okay? Now inside of the span, there are some words. I'm just going to name them example. So going back here, let's add the span here, okay? We're going to add a span, okay? And let's do this example number 1 this way, and then we're going to add another span here. And let's call this example number 1. And we're going to set this up as example number 1 as well. So we're going to create 2 spans inside of this paragraph. And then here, this one is going to be called example number 2. And the final one will be called, guess what? Example number 3. Okay. Okay, there we go. So example number 3. Now we are going to give some class to each span. So class, this is going to be example number 1. To this other class, we're also going to name this example number 1. Then here we're going to apply a class of example number 2. Same thing we're going to do here, a class of example number 2. And then finally, on this last span, we're going to add a class of example number 3. And we're also going to do the same thing here, example number, let's add a class and then example number 3. There we go. So I'm going to hit save, going back to our code, let's hit refresh. Okay, there you go. So example number 1, 2 example numbers 2, and then 2 example number 3s. And for each division, let's just add a couple of spaces here. Let me just add, let's add maybe 3. Okay, I'm going to copy this and I am going to add that there as well. Okay, so let's hit save and then let's hit refresh. There you go. So here we have the 3 paragraphs and the examples for each span. Now we're going to style them. Okay, going back to our code here, we are going to apply some style. We are going to use all this information. Okay, I'm going to copy all. I'm going to copy everything just so you can see exactly the same information here in your style. And the only thing that I am going to do is remove the display properties to each one of them, okay? Just so you can see every time that I apply the display, how this is going to look like. And we're going to change, by the way, the color for each one. This one right now, it's set as solid blue. Let me simply change this. Okay, so blue and yellow. I believe that'll be fine for now. Okay, so let's hit save. And now going back to our page, let's hit refresh. Oops, let me just make sure that I apply the right class, right? Because we didn't name them span A, span B, whatever. So I'm just going to call the classes. Example number 1. Then we're going to call the class here of example number 2. And then finally here, we're going to call the class of example number 3. Example number 3. There we go. Okay, so now let's hit save and let's hit refresh. There we go. So now we have our 3 spans styled. Okay, so here are the difference. If we use the first one that we saw is inline. Okay, if we use the inline value, as you can see here, going back to our code, this doesn't change. You see that? I mean, with the display inline, you are not going to see your code itself changing that much. I mean, as you can see, it just stays the same. As default, it'll go inline because the span, as default, the display will be always inline. As you can see, this one doesn't have a display in this one either, and they will always go inline. So when I apply the inline value, it stays the same. Now, the second example here, we're going to apply the block. Well, let's apply inline block, that one, which is the one that we are practicing today. So inline block instead is going to do the following. Let's hit refresh and boom. You see how inline block do the following? It respects the width and height of the span, and it's aligned within the same line. So with inline block, you have, that great thing that you can put one block next to the other, one span next to the other, and at the same time you conserve the width and height of the element. Now the last one we're going to take a look here, just so you can see clearly the difference between one and the other, is to apply the block. Okay, so if I set the third one to display block and I hit refresh, the display block respects the high value and also the width value. However, as you can see, it creates a break right after the element, right? So it is more convenient to use inline block if you want 2 of your elements to stay together respecting the same width and height. So those are the 3 main differences between one and the other. This is what this chapter was about, and this is very important for you to know, especially when you are designing websites and you want to customize things and make sure that you order your divisions, you order your entire page styling the way you want it to be, okay? So if you have questions about this topic, make sure you leave them in the comment section below, and I'll make sure that I will clarify any doubt that you may have as soon as I can. Okay, so that was it for this episode, everyone. It was very quick. I hope that you learned. If you did, make sure to practice, okay? Also, if you're new to my channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you like my video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Also, remember that you can always ask Lixi. Bye everyone, and see you again in the next episode.